evening, everyone. We are missing Eric just at the moment, but I'm sure he's not too far away. So I'm going to start by introducing...
I hope he hasn't got lost in space.
Oh, let's hope he hasn't. I'm going to start by introducing the very wonderful Annette Badland. Annette, good evening.
Hello, 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 everyone.
It's absolutely lovely to have you with us.
It's lovely to be here. We need this, don't we? It's such a miserable time.
It is.
Absolutely everyone I know is sort of just kind of sagging at the knees. Young, old, everybody's just going, oh. So yeah, let's have a little bit of camaraderie and
we do. We need a little bit of fun in this world. I used to say they were strange times, but they've gone beyond strange times now into bizarre times. And
yes,
I'm sort of desperately missing hugs, I think it's fair to say.
Can't wait to squeeze people.
So we were just chatting before we opened the doors, actually, and I understand that you've been back doing some midsummer, but you're not quite at the moment, it appears.
No, I'm in solitary confinement. I'm self-isolating. I'm working on another series called Ted Lasso, which is a series for Apple. And I did a day on it last Wednesday, and then a lady rang me on Thursday and said, I'm sorry, I have some very bad news for you. And I assumed, because they test us all the time, that it was me that had COVID, but no, it was my driver. One of my drivers from the day before had tested positive, but it's meant that I've had to self-isolate. I get out on Sunday. And it's also affected another job I was doing, which is not good. They've had to rewrite it, and I'll have to go into ADR. They'll have to, one of their solutions was one scene, they're going to put someone else on a phone talking to me, and then I'll go in ADR and answer from the other end, unseen. I did offer to take my phone to the bottom of the garden and film myself on my phone, but that wasn't something they bought, I'm afraid.
They have had to get terribly inventive, haven't they, in the way that they're filming these? I mean, when you see things like EastEnders at the moment and some of the sort of camera angles, they're very, very clever. Have you got sort of social distancing in place on some of the stuff that you've been filming?
Yeah, everybody is all the systems are different, but we all wear masks right up until the take, which makes it hard for the sound guys and is a barrier. So it's hard, you know, when you're rehearsing to kind of really get stuff going. But yeah, we wear our masks. We are all socially distanced. There are all COVID officers in luminescent jackets and going, put your mask on, please step aside, keep apart now, just to remind you. And as I say, we get on midsummer, I get home tests. So I have to test myself on a Monday and a Thursday. On Ted Lasso, they sent someone to the house. It's American, so it's all rather swank, and they send someone round. And then on the other project, you actually got tested kind of on the morning that you arrived, and they had quick tests and long tests, and because there are a number. I was told today the producer from Midsummer rang me, and she was saying they're going to change their method. So we're going to have a new sort of test when I go back. I haven't worked with them for about a fortnight, so I go back in a week's time.
I think it's good that I know that this has had its critics, but I think it is good that we've been able to get on with some filming and you know, you've been able to get some new material in the can.
Yes, and we're desperate. You know, the audience is desperate for material, and I know this drive has let us down, but I feel generally so safe on a set. I don't think I said to the audience that I was, as well as Ted Lasso, I was on something else that I'm not, it's new, so I can't see what it is. But I don't really know what my makeup lady looks like, because they had the windows open. So she was in a woolly hat and a polo neck jumper. She had a visor on. They're in full PPE, you know, she had a visor. She does have a gown on, you know, plastic gown, a visor, a mask. She had glasses, So apart from a bit of hair that stuck out between the woolly hat and the mask, we got on terribly well, but I wouldn't know her if I walked into her. I would not know her at all in the street.
We'll get back to normal at some point, I'm sure. And I'm going to, I now have the pleasure of being able to introduce Eric Potts to our conversation as well. Eric's with us. Hello, Eric. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Sorry for the late arrival.
It's the beauty of these Zooms that we can drop in and out whenever we want to, which is kind of a nice way of doing it, I think. Hope you've been keeping well.
Yes, thank you. Good in these slightly bizarre times.
They are indeed, and we've just been discussing those. I think a bit more. I was saying I've been calling them strange times, but I think they're now bizarre. So I finally have two of the family Siltheen with me now. So we would be remiss if we didn't start having a little natter about Aliens of London and Doctor Who. And you graced our screens in what was the first season back for Doctor Who. So we weren't sure as an audience quite what to expect. And then we encounter Siltheen in episode 4. It looked a lot of fun. How was it for you both?
A lot of fun. We're British, farting jokes were very popular.
I have to say, time allows you to look back on things in retrospect. And I know at the time the Siltheens were sort of met with somewhat of a mixed response because of the sort of, it was a very sinister side, but also a very sort of a comedy side almost to it. And I know it alienated some of the fans initially, but I think time is kind, and I look back on it now, I actually find it all really quite enjoyable, that first season in general.
Yeah, I think it was quirky, wasn't it?
Yeah. And we were the first thing they shot. Those episodes were the first episodes they shot when they regenerated it. So everybody was finding out where it sat and what they wanted, and how long things took, prosthetics and stuff. But Russell wanted, that humor, and I remember he wanted the baby faces too. I remember him talking about, that they were villainous, but they also looked like babies.
I think it helped with the underlying comedy of it all. And I think that was a throwback to certainly what I remember Doctor Who being when we grew up, when I was growing up. There was the jeopardy and the threat, the adventure, but there always was an underlying humour to it all. And I think the Siltheen certainly helped to capture that in that first unknown series back. I think there were others. I don't think it was just the Siltheen, but yeah, I think they captured that quirkiness that Russell helped to bring back to the series, I think.
Yeah.
And definitely a Russell script is always an enjoyable script. And, you can see the comedy screaming out from it, but there's also that sort of seriousness. I think the reveal of I'll get this out. I can't now, I've got to block in my head to be able to do it. I think the grand reveal when you're in the sort of the offices in Downing Street there, and it's played to absolute perfection, that the whole scene when you've got the army guy there, and you're all sort of, you're just getting up to that reveal. That scene looked a lot of fun to play.
We shot it quite late at night, I seem to think, with my memory.
I think we did. There were a few, obviously, within that. We were filming at a sort of stately home place, weren't we, just outside Cardiff, Annette, I think. And yeah, it seemed to, it didn't go on overly long, but I think you hit the nail on the head there with finding out how long things were going to take. So I do remember it taking quite a long time, but a lot of that was, setting up the special effects and the various flashes and things that were going to happen within the space, the confines of the room that we were filming in. But it was good fun, wasn't it? Yes, I'd forgotten that was the word.
We giggled a lot. I think we giggled a lot. But that's the.
We did because we. Sorry, darling, go on.
No, you finish.
No, it's just because we knew that we to leave gaps where we knew the sound effect guys were going to put in various farting sound effects. So of course we just to leave a gap for it to be there, but we couldn't hear it on the day. And we'd get halfway through a line and go, oh, there's another one. And I remember that taking several times to get through.
I always sort of imagined that the sound effects would be off camera for you, just to give you at least a clue as to where they were coming.
No, we'd have never got through anything if they'd done that. We could have done it for one another, I suppose. We could have.
Yeah, I think even though it did take us a few goes, it was probably a good thing that they weren't there for the crew as well as us. But yeah, we did giggle quite a lot.
But it's great when you've got because the script was good, so you can sit. You're confident in the material you've got, so you can kind of sit on it and enjoy it. Often as actors, you're kind of crafting something that isn't brilliant and trying to make it better. But we just had this fantastic vehicle that we could kind of jollily kind of be driven on. It was wonderful.
And there's a great deal of excitement and I think determination with it being the first new series back, that it was going to be right and it was going to have an impact. So we were surrounded by people who cared deeply, which is the case most of the time. But I think Annette will know, not. They were a great team, a great crew, a great creative team. So we knew there was a real excitement about getting it right and getting it impactful. So,
and I think that's why it worked too, because everybody loved it. Phil, the producer, Russell, Chris, everybody. It wasn't a cynical venture. They were all people who loved Doctor Who and really wanted to make it work and invest in it. So yeah, there was a great feeling of kind of championing through. Because I know when I was offered it, I was doing something else called Cutting It, and I was very excited and going, I'm going to be in Doctor Who. And the response was not overly, they kind of went, oh yeah, are you? I mean, now Knights of the Realm kill to be in it. But they didn't know whether it would be liked or not, or how it would be taken, and that they really invested everything they had in it because they loved it.
I chatted to Phil some time back actually, and you could tell the passion for the project came through in the interview. And it was so, as you said, it was so early days. Some of the first stuff to be filmed. Even the sort of regulars, even Chris would have been finding his feet at that time. What was he like to work with? He's great.
I'd done a film with him in Belgium a few years before, so I knew him a little. And I just love his concentration, and he's naughty. He's got naughty humour, intelligent humour. Yeah, I like working with Chris a lot.
Well, we didn't actually get to film anything with him on that particular shoot because our scenes were kind of self-contained from his particular narrative. But he was around, and we got to spend some time with him, and I remember him being very excited and welcoming. I hadn't worked with him before, so it was a real pleasure for me. But yeah, the whole thing was really was very exciting. I don't know if you remember, Annette, but there was a lot of secrecy. Everything was under wraps. There were people movers going in and out of Cardiff with bin bags over the windows, so that there were like paparazzi on every corner, determined to get some exclusive on this new series that no one had seen anything of. So there was lots of secrecy, and bizarre practices to keep the photographers at the gate.
We actually had the read through at Cardiff Stadium, didn't we? At the big stage, a huge event.
But I always remember it was such a joy. I just finished working. It was Keith Doak who directed it, and I just finished working with him on The Royal, I think it was, and or maybe it was Heartbeat. Doesn't matter. There's one of those, and he offered me the job, and I was just going on a fortnight's family holiday to Florida. It was the first time we'd taken my daughters to Florida, and they said, well, you have to do this prosthetic work as quickly as possible, as soon as possible, because they need to get all the, the latex done. So I arrived back in Manchester Airport after one of those horrible overnight flights from the States, and said goodbye to my family who went home. And I jumped on a train to London and ended up, I can't remember, somewhere in North London, very jet lagged, and sitting with 2 straws up my nose under a blanket of latex for 4 hours while they made the Siltheen. And I nearly, halfway through, I nearly went, actually, no, I've made a mistake. I don't want this job anymore. It was the most horrible experience, but worth it in the end.
Yeah, they gave you hand signals, didn't they? That, kind of like I'm more, and then there was kind of, no, I've had enough. Get me out of here.
Couldn't move your face at all for 3 hours or whatever it was. It was
and it
bizarre.
got heavier, didn't it? Because it's plaster of Paris, it got heavier. So you felt, and I tried to persuade myself inside there. I thought, no, come on, you've been breathing for all this time. You can carry on. But it just... So
it was, I remember it being, I don't know when you had yours done, darling, but it was a hot day in this studio, and even with the windows open, it was just getting hotter and hotter. And like you say, this stuff getting heavier and heavier. And they say it's glamorous, honestly.
But I was full of admiration. I remember Phil and Russell running across the set and saying, your head's come, and taking me to see it. And it was like a death mask. So I was quite taken aback, but I was in awe of the painters who'd come and looked at me and just had, the finest detail, little veins and the colouring. And superb work, just wonderful.
They were
stuff.
fantastic.
Yeah. Now she goes off by herself. The head goes out on tour, I think, all by herself. She was last seen in Brighton. She's got her own career.
I think I saw her in EastEnders the other day.
No, that was me. It was me.
Oh, damn, sorry, I'm getting confused. I'm sorry.